Under a gray sky, where heavy clouds threatened to swallow the world, a being was born from the darkness. He had no name, no memories, only one purpose: destruction. He was called Doomsday, a name that rang like a death knell among the ruins. Unlike any creature that had ever lived, Doomsday bore no pain or memories of an unhappy childhood. He knew no anger or sadness. He was the embodiment of pure destruction, a killing machine created from the cruel experiments of the distant planet Krypton. In a cold laboratory, its metal walls glowing a faint blue light, Kryptonian scientists stood around a tank filled with bubbling liquid. They had no idea that they had awakened a nightmare. Doomsday, a colossal being with skin as gray as volcanic rock and spikes of bone sprouting from every part of his body, opened his eyes. There was no emotion in them, only a terrifying emptiness. His first roar shook the room, and the scientists trembled with the realization that they had created something uncontrollable. As in the case of Bruce Banner, the man beneath the Hulk's massive green skin. The Hulk is a symbol of rage, a fire that burns from deep wounds in Banner's soul, from a childhood filled with pain and abandonment. But Doomsday is different. He has no story to tell, no reason to justify. He simply exists to destroy everything in his path. Metropolis, the city of light and hope, was now in darkness. The skyscrapers that once sparkled like jewels in the sunlight were now piles of rubble. Doomsday came like a storm, tearing everything in his path. The asphalt cracked under his terrible power, his roar drowning out the sirens that echoed throughout the city. At the center of the chaos, a man stood silently, his deep blue eyes shining with determination. Superman, the symbol of hope, stared straight at the monster before him. He knew Doomsday was no ordinary foe. There was no anger to be harnessed, no emotion to be bargained with. He was simply a being of destruction, a relentless machine. "What are you?" Superman shouted, his voice echoing through the whistling wind. But Doomsday did not answer. He charged forward, each step shaking the ground. One punch sent Superman flying through 3 buildings, leaving huge cracks in the concrete. But Superman did not give up. He stood up, blood flowing from the corner of his mouth, and charged into battle. On the other side of the city, Lois Lane, camera in hand, recorded every moment of the battle. She did not run, even though her heart was pounding with fear. "Clark, you have to do it," she whispered, her eyes never leaving the figure of the Man of Steel facing his nightmare. Lois knew that if Superman failed, Metropolis and perhaps the world would not stand a chance. Thousands of miles from Metropolis, in a desolate forest, Bruce Banner sat silently by the fire. His eyes were heavy, his mind filled with painful memories. His childhood was a series of days of abuse by his father, the insults that were etched into his soul. Whenever his anger rose, the Hulk appeared in uncontrollable fire, but still carrying a part of Bruce, a part of him. When news of Doomsday spread, Bruce felt a strange unease. He had heard of the monster that knew no fatigue, no pain, no fear. Part of him was curious, but another part was afraid. The Hulk may be the embodiment of rage, but Doomsday was something beyond rage. He did not fight for reason, was not driven by emotion. He simply existed to destroy. Bruce stood up, his fists clenched. "If he comes here," he muttered, "the Hulk will show him what true anger is." But deep down, Bruce knew that Doomsday was unlike any enemy the Hulk had ever faced. He was not a man, not a rational being. He was a living nightmare, a desolate field, now a battlefield. The dry grass burned under the heat of battle. Hulk, with his huge green body, roared with anger, his eyes blazing like 2 flames. Opposite him was Doomsday, with a body like he was carved from stone, his eyes empty and cold. "You want destruction?" Hulk roared, punching the ground, creating an explosion that sent rubble flying.
"Hulk will crush you." But Doomsday did not react. He charged forward, each punch like an earthquake. Hulk responded with equal force. But for the first time in his life, he felt something strange. Doomsday did not falter. Even though he was knocked down, he got up immediately, without a scratch, without a sign of fatigue. He did not fight out of anger, did not fight for honor.
He fought because it was his nature. The battle lasted for hours, neither of them willing to give in. Nearby mountains shook, rivers changed course under the combined force of the two entities. Hulk, mighty as he was, began to feel fatigue, but Doomsday did not. He was a machine, a being that knew no limits. As the Hulk and Doomsday battle rages on, Superman returns, accompanied by the Justice League. Wonder Woman, with her shining sword, and Batman, with his advanced armor, stand by him. They know that to defeat Doomsday, strength alone is not enough. They need a plan. "We can't defeat him with force," Batman says, his voice low and cold. "He has no weaknesses, but perhaps we can contain him." Wonder Woman nods, her eyes blazing with determination. "If we can't kill him, we'll seal him." With perfect coordination, the Justice League lures Doomsday into a trap. Superman and Hulk hold him off, while Batman activates a special device, a cage made from Kryptonian technology, strong enough to hold even a being like Doomsday. His roar echoes as the cage door closes, but this time, he cannot break through it. Doomsday is imprisoned, but the question remains, can a being like him ever truly be defeated? He is not the embodiment of rage like the Hulk, nor the symbol of hope like Superman. He is the embodiment of pure destruction, a reminder that in the vastness of the universe, there are things that exist only to destroy. Hulk, standing on a hill, looks out at the horizon. His rage still burns, but this time, he feels a strange peace. He has faced something beyond his rage, and he has survived. Superman, standing beside Lois, takes her hand. "He will come back," he says, his voice low but firm. "And when he does, we will be ready." Under the blood-red sunset, the Kryptonian prison glowed a cold blue, holding Doomsday in an eerie silence. The metal walls, crafted from the ancient technology of the doomed planet, shook as he pounded them, but not a single crack appeared. His roar, once shaking Metropolis, was now a muffled sound, echoing in the cramped space of the prison. The Justice League stood around, breathing heavily, but their eyes could not hide the tension. They knew that, while they had temporarily imprisoned him, Doomsday was not something that could be contained forever. Superman, his tattered cape fluttering in the wind, looked into Doomsday's empty eyes. "We're just delaying the inevitable." Batman, standing nearby with his face hidden behind a mask, nodded. "We need a long-term plan. This cage is only a temporary solution. If he escapes, not just Metropolis, but the entire Earth will face a true apocalypse." Wonder Woman tightened her grip on her sword, her eyes sharp. "We need to find out where he came from. Why does he exist? Who created him? If we don't understand Doomsday's nature, we will never truly defeat him." In a far corner, the Hulk stood silently, his massive body shrinking back into the human form of Bruce Banner. He was panting, sweat pouring down his forehead. The fight with Doomsday had pushed him to his limits, not just physically, but mentally. The Hulk had been the embodiment of rage all his life, but for the first time, he felt small in front of a being like Doomsday. "He's not like me," Bruce muttered. "He has no heart to feel, no mind to think, he just exists." Lois Lane, standing not far away, wrote everything down in her notebook. She knew that this story was not just about superheroes fighting a monster. It was about human survival, about the limits of strength and will. "Clark," she called, her voice trembling but determined, "what do we do next?" Superman turned, placing his hand on her shoulder. "We will find a way. We always find a way." As the weeks passed, Doomsday's cell was moved to a secret underground facility, protected by Earth's most advanced technology and the remnants of Kryptonian technology Superman had brought back. The facility, called the Dark Vault system, deep in the Rocky Mountains, was built by humanity's most brilliant minds. Each steel door was several meters thick, each wall reinforced with the vibranium alloy, a gift from Wakanda. But even in this impenetrable space, Doomsday's roar still made the guards tremble. Batman, the head of the project, was relentless in his research. He spent nights in the lab analyzing samples of Doomsday's DNA taken from the skin fragments left after the battle. "He is not a natural being," Batman concluded, his voice cold as ice. "He's the product of an experiment, designed to evolve with each death and resurrection. Each time he's defeated, he gets stronger. Superman frowned. So how do we stop him permanently? Batman shook his head. I'm not sure, but there's a clue. The data from his cage shows that his energy pulses in a strange pattern. It's unlike any life form we've ever seen. Maybe he's not entirely of this universe. Batman's words silenced the group. Wonder Woman, who was cleaning her sword, raised her head. What do you mean? He's from another dimension? Maybe, Batman replied. Or he's a bioweapon created to combat a greater threat. The question is, what is that threat? Meanwhile, Bruce Banner, now fully human, joined the discussion. He was no longer the Hulk, but the memory of his battle with Doomsday still haunted him. He has no weaknesses, Bruce said, his voice low. But if he is a weapon, then someone or something must have created him. We need to find out who did it. The search leads the Justice League to a distant planet, once home to Superman's homeworld, Krypton. Though the planet has long been destroyed, its debris still floats in space, and several secret research stations remain, operated by unknown entities. With the help of Green Lantern, the team reaches one of these stations, hidden deep inside a giant asteroid. Inside, they discover ancient records, written in the Kryptonian language. Superman, with his ability to read his homeworld's language, translates the terrifying information. Doomsday is not a creation of Krypton, but of an older, more powerful entity known as the Universe Destroyer. According to the records, the Destroyer created Doomsday as a tool to destroy civilizations that threaten the balance of the universe. He is a living weapon, Superman mutters, his eyes filled with worry. But why is he targeting Earth? Wonder Woman clenched her fists. Maybe Earth is becoming a threat. Our technology, our power. Maybe someone or something doesn't want us to go any further.
Batman, his analytical mind sharp, added.
Or maybe he's just a bloodhound let loose, with no real purpose. He destroys because that's his nature. The group returned to Earth, carrying their precious notes. But as they descended into the dungeon, a terrible explosion rang out. Krypton's cage had been broken. Doomsday, his body covered in fresh scars, stood tall in the rubble. His eyes gleamed with a deadly light, and this time, he seemed more powerful than ever. There was no time to prepare. Doomsday burst out of the dungeon, leaving a path of destruction in his wake. Metropolis, though rebuilt, was once again engulfed in flames. Superman, Wonder Woman, Batman, and the Hulk, now transformed into their green giant forms, joined forces to face him. But this time, Doomsday seemed unstoppable. Every punch, every heat ray, every weapon proved ineffective. He evolved, adapted, and grew stronger with each attack. In a moment of desperation, Bruce Banner, from deep within the Hulk's mind, recalled the records from Krypton. He doesn't belong here, Bruce shouted through the Hulk's roar. We need to push him out of this dimension. Batman, with his superhuman intelligence, quickly activated a device to test a dimensional portal built on Kryptonian technology. If we can push him through this portal, he'll be trapped in another dimension, Batman explained. But we only have one chance. Superman, with all his remaining strength, held Doomsday down, while Hulk punched him repeatedly to keep him off balance. Wonder Woman, with the lariat of truth, bound his limbs, pulling him toward the portal. Doomsday's roar rang out like a curse, but with perfect coordination, the team pushed him through the portal. A bright flash of light erupted, and Doomsday disappeared. The portal closed, leaving an eerie silence. Superman fell, exhausted. Hulk returned to his Bruce Banner form, gasping for breath. Wonder Woman braced her sword against the ground, her eyes still alert. Batman checked the device, making sure the portal was permanently sealed. "We did it!" Lois Lane, who had watched the whole thing from afar, whispered. But in the back of her mind, a sense of unease remained. Is Doomsday really gone? Or is he just waiting, somewhere in the universe, to return?